Well, here's an unsurprising story. CNN's ratings have collapsed, and I'm here for it, and so are you. The once incredibly powerful cable news network is facing apocalyptic decline in their ratings. That's not hyperbole. In this particular video, we're going to do a deep dive into the factors that contributed to the epic collapse that we're witnessing now. But before we get there, before we get started, make sure that you're currently subscribed to the channel. In fact, if you look down there and that little button says subscribe and it's red, just click on it. It'll say subscribed and turn gray, and that'll be fantastic. You can also, while you're down there, hit the like button because it'll really help with engagement on the channel. And again, it's absolutely free, costs you nothing, and all it does is help me with engagement, and it allows me to grow, which would be awesome. So now let's talk about CNN. The cable news industry itself is an incredibly crowded and competitive space, and the CNN ratings, especially recently, well, they've been on the decline. And I don't just mean on the decline, I mean they've been almost in free fall. The network needs a lot of help, actually, to get out of the basement, and I'm not sure that their current strategy is working. And again, I'm being very nice here. I'm putting it as kindly as possible. In the week of January 16th to January 22nd, CNN attracted just 444,000 on average for that week, for each day they were on. They had only 93,000 people that were actually in the primary demographic of 25 to 54. That's what you're shooting for if you have any kind of programming, because that, again, is the prime demo, the people that are likely to spend money on whatever the advertisers are offering there. In fact, this is the first time since May of 2014 that the network has not passed 450,000 in viewer threshold. It's insane. Meanwhile, Fox News drew 1.5 million viewers, with 176,000 of them being in the ages of 25 to 54, the primary demo. And even PMS NBC brought in 629,000 total viewers on average, with 69,000 of those in the primary demographic. So in prime time, Fox News eclipsed the 2 million mark, and it wasn't even close going forward. It's just the way that it is. Now, the challenges facing CNN, well, they're not new. We've been talking about them for a while. In fact, you can find a video probably right there that talks about this issue. In recent years, the network has been criticized for being essentially the corporate mouthpiece or the additional arm of the DNC, and essentially running propaganda for them. And this would include, obviously, the Russiagate hoax and many other stories that, well, they either refused to cover or just, did it in the most possibly slanted way you could imagine. This has led, of course, to a loss in trust among viewers. People are really just not finding them credible. And CNN has struggled to try and regain that credibility. And it's just not happening. The network has gone through a major purge. In fact, you can see I actually did a video on that. Right there, not that far back. You saw that part of that purge was putting Don Lemon in a demoted position as the head person in the Morning Zoo program there with a couple of other folks. We watched Brian Stelter, the potato himself, be removed from his gig. And you saw, obviously, some other broadcasters unceremoniously let go. For example, Chris Cuomo. Now, despite all those changes, as I mentioned before, the network is struggling to attract new viewers, or even retain legacy ones, which I guess would be better than nothing. One of the insiders from one of the many stories that I read through before doing this video suggests that the network is trying to be everything to everyone, and that's creating a whiplash effect for any of the viewers that are there. In fact, it changes the tonally what some of the segments are overall. This lack of strategy obviously has left the network unable to decide what it's going to be, or what it is, and what it stands for. Well, we knew what it used to stand for. The question is, what does it stand for now? That's obviously being reflected in those ratings. With the other cable news networks out there, like I keep mentioning, Fox News and PMSNBC, they're just absolutely outperforming CNN, and the network has to find a way to stand out in order to start to compete again, or even get close. I mean, they're not even close to PMSNBC. They have to offer something unique to viewers that's more engaging than what, well, at least MSNBC is offering. CNN, of course, is facing an uphill battle there because its quest to regain at least one place, if not, the top place occasionally, first place in cable news. Well, the landscape itself has been changing, metamorphizing over the course of the last 2 years anyway. The network needs to find a new niche. That's just the bottom line. And it has to offer, as I mentioned before, something that sets it apart from its competitors. And of course, one of the ways they could do that is something that was suggested early on. Again, in this particular video that I've already highlighted here. And that is, they could double down on hard news, which was suggested when the takeover happened to begin with. They could actually get back into investigative reporting or finding a way to cater to a specific demographic, which would be helpful. Like, I don't know, target the primary demographic or the slightly older. That would be a good thing. There are a lot of people that are underserved by other cable news networks. Even Fox is not necessarily speaking to a centrist or a more conservative audience. They still aren't quite there, and there's room there in the space to the right, not a lot of room in the space to the left. And so to achieve this, CNN will need to make some changes. That's just all there is to it, to bring those ratings back. They'll have to invest in higher quality programming, and I'm not just talking about set changes. They need to invest in new and very talented individuals, because they don't have any of those right now. And they, of course, need to revamp their marketing strategies, which are still at odds with what they're trying to offer in any of their programming or any of their shows. I don't even think advertisers know what CNN is doing. The network obviously needs to rebuild trust, and they have to do that with the audience in a way so that they feel like, well, the audience, that is being being delivered credible and impartial and unbalanced information for a change, and the reporting needs to stay right there. I'm not sure that's something that they can do. I think I've said that before. I had a little bit more of an optimistic take before, but I really don't think I do now. Right now, I don't think they're reflecting the pivot that they claimed to be aiming for, that shift to center. Again, for the third time, that video right there. And of course, I reported that all the way back in October of 2022, so a few months ago now. So we just have to face the facts when it comes to CNN and their recent ratings decline. They're just suffering the consequences of their fake news and their lack of coverage in areas that really could have helped American citizens over the course of the last 4 or 5 months, maybe the last few years. But instead, they insisted on peddling what they did, and it didn't work. Again, with the right strategy, unbiased coverage, CNN could regain its place. The network had a very long history. It did, of being somewhat credible, and they had very forthright people, which they seem to lack now. They are definitely not bleeding integrity. They don't think they have any left. Maybe Chris Licht wasn't the right choice for leadership here. Maybe despite his success with morning shows, he was not the right choice to reframe, restructure, and rebuild a network and its reputation. It's kind of a shame, really, because it did have a pretty decent reputation. I'm not sure CNN will ever return to being a dominant player in the cable news industry, but to be fair, how much longer is cable news going to exist in? I'm interested in your thoughts. You can put them down in the comments section down below, and I would truly appreciate that. And of course, as always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it is good hygiene. And until next time, bye.